Hi, everybody. It's Professor Mitchell. Today we're going to go over a section that I don't cover in the trigonometry class, and that's section 5.4 on product to sum formulas. As you'll see on this screen, they also, in the textbook, go over something called the sum to product formulas. I have never encountered those in my life. So I'm just going to show you the product to sum formulas, which you will come across in Calculus 2. I want to emphasize that these are formulas that you do not need to memorize. I don't have these formulas memorized. However, I will show you how I would derive them if I was ever stuck on a desert island and needed them. So these formulas come from the sum and difference formulas, which you'll recall from section 5.2. You see them there on your screen, sine, cosine, cosine, sine, and cosine, cosine, minus sine, sine. So these ones I do have memorized. And right now I'm going to show you how you use these to get the product to sum formulas. As the name suggests, the product to sum formulas allow you to convert the product of two trigonometric functions to the sum of two trigonometric functions, which for a certain kind of calculus problem is much easier to deal with. So to get the first of the product to sum formulas, I am going to take the sum and difference formulas for cosine, which you'll notice on their right-hand sides are exactly the same except for the sign SIGN in the middle. So if I just add these two formulas together, on the left-hand side, I'm going to get cosine of alpha plus beta plus cosine of alpha minus beta equals these two terms here, let me get my pen, are going to cancel out because I'm adding them together. And so that's going to give me 2 times cosine alpha cosine beta. So if I multiply both sides by 1/2, what I get is that the cosine of alpha times the cosine of beta is equal to 1/2 times the sum of cosine of alpha plus beta and cosine of alpha minus beta. So that's the first of the 3. When we get to that screen, you'll see that they show you 4 of them, but there are really only 3. So this is the one for the product of 2 cosines. On the next slide, what I'm going to do is again take the sum and difference formulas for cosine, and this time I'm going to subtract them. So what I get in this case on the left-hand side is cosine of alpha plus beta minus cosine of alpha minus beta. And this time, what's going to cancel? Remember, we're subtracting, so let me change some signs SIGN over here. Okay, so those are the new signs SIGN. And so when so now you can think of this as addition. So this time what's going to cancel, sorry, let me get my pen back, are these two. All right, and so when I add these two together, I'm going to get -2 sine alpha sine beta. And so if I multiply both sides of this equation by -1/2, I'm going to get sine alpha sine beta. Now let me explain what I did over here. You might be wondering, why isn't this a -1/2? It's because I took that -1 and I distributed it inside. You see how these two terms are in the opposite order of what's here? So here, let me do something real quick. Okay, let's say that this was -1/2 times these two. When you get to calculus, you're going to have to, sorry. Accidentally went to the next slide there. Okay, yeah, when you get to calculus, you're going to have to do some fancy algebraic manipulations like this. So what I've done is I've taken only the minus sign and I've distributed it inside these parentheses. So this term became negative. You see over here the negative cosine of alpha plus beta. And this term became positive. So that's, see, no more minus down here. It's just cosine alpha minus beta. These two terms traded places is really what happens when you distribute that minus sign. So that might be the most complicated one. The next one is pretty simple, if I can get it. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this time I'm adding the sum and difference formulas for sine. All right, so on the left side, I get sine alpha plus beta plus sine alpha minus beta. And what's going to cancel this time are these two terms. So on the right side, I'm going to have 2 sine alpha cosine beta. When I multiply both sides by 1/2, I get sine alpha cosine beta is equal to 1/2 times the sum of sine alpha plus beta and sine alpha minus beta. All right, so before we go to the slide that summarizes all this, let me just point out to you, going back, why won't it let me go back? Oh, that's why. Oh, it doesn't matter. So we had one for the product of 2 sines, one for the product of 2 cosines, and one for the product of a sine and a cosine. You really don't need both of these. If you needed a formula for cosine alpha sine beta, what you could do is just take this formula and switch the alpha and the beta. These two are really the same formula. There's absolutely no need for both. So, and again, you don't have to memorize any of these, but really all you need are these 3 right here. These are the 3 that I just derived for you. All right, so let's talk about how you actually use those. I just have a couple of examples. So in this first example, we're going to express the product sine 5x sine 2x as a sum or difference. So notice it's the product of 2 sines. So I go back to the slide, the last slide, and grab that formula. Sine alpha sine beta is equal to 1/2 times cosine alpha minus beta minus cosine alpha plus beta. So playing the role of alpha in this problem is 5x, and playing the role of beta in this problem is 2x. Whoops. All right. So replace alpha with 5x, replace beta with 2x. And what you end up with is that sine 5x times sine 2x comes out to be 1/2 times the quantity cosine 3x minus cosine 7x. So when you get to this certain kind of problem in Calculus 2, it will be much easier to deal with this expression than sine 5x sine 2x. All right, so just one more example. Oops, lost my mouse. Oh, I had it there for a second. Come back, come back. There we go. Okay. All right, so I thought this might be a good one for you to practice. It's the same kind of problem. Express the product cosine 7x times cosine x as a sum or difference. So what you should do now is look in your notes and decide which formula is the right one to use. And so go ahead and pause the video and try that, and then we will compare notes. All right, so hopefully you've tried that problem. The formula for cosine alpha cosine beta is the one we're going to use here. So that's 1/2 times the quantity cosine alpha minus beta plus cosine alpha plus beta. All right, so in this problem, playing the role of alpha is 7x. Playing the role of beta is x. So when you replace alpha with 7x and beta minus x, beta with x, I'm sorry, you get what you see here, 1/2 times cosine of 7x minus x plus cosine 7x plus x. And of course, when you combine your like terms, that comes out to 1/2 times the quantity cosine 6x plus cosine 8x. And that's pretty much all there is to using the product to sum formulas. So we'll see you next time.